Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to continue talking about AEDs, how to save a life. Remember, AEDs are special machines that are portable. They are automated external defibrillators. And you use them in case somebody goes into cardiac arrest or has some other kinds of heart problems or something like that. If their heart stops and you need to get it started again to save their life. And also you would use this kind of machine if proper medical care is not available immediately. So hopefully your school or the department store you're shopping in or the airplane you're flying in will have this device and you should be able to save someone's life.
Let's go through this. We're going to read through the article first, and then we'll be back to talk about some of these phrases and vocabulary words.
An AED could provide someone with vital medical assistance in the first few minutes of an emergency, keeping them alive until the professionals arrive. The instructions are written on the AED and, in some cases, are delivered via a speaker, but it's a good idea to be familiar with how they work before you use them. Step 1. Place the AED near the victim's head. Follow the prompts to turn it on correctly. Some power up when the lid is opened, others require you to press a button. There's usually an LED that will flash when the AED is ready to use. Step 2. Expose the victim's chest by removing their clothes. Wipe off any moisture, then apply the pads to the victim's skin, putting one pad on the right just below the collarbone and the other on the lower left side of the chest. Ensure the pads are connected to the AED. The AED will analyze the victim's heart rhythm and determine whether they need a shock or whether CPR should be continued. Step 3. If a shock is required, it's critical that no one be touching the victim or their clothes. Shout "Everybody clear" to warn others to step back. Then press the shock button. Continue to follow the instructions on the AED until emergency services arrive. And remember, don't hesitate. Act quickly. You could be saving a life.
Okay, guys, this is a version of how to use the AED that is a little bit more expansive. They've expanded the instructions here. It's probably a version of the instructions that you might see if you actually open up the AED and maybe there's a manual or a book there. The poster was just a really quick look at what to do. This goes into more detail about how to make the victim comfortable, what you might do if you don't know how to use it. We're talking about preparing the person who can't, whose heart has stopped. You have to take off the clothes or remove the clothes from the chest area because those pads are placed on bare skin in order to work. So there are some things that you have to do in order to prepare not only the victim, but the piece of equipment that is the defibrillator as well.
Okay, so here's the lesson for today, AEDs, how to save a life. So an AED could provide someone with vital medical assistance in the first few minutes of an emergency, keeping them alive until the professionals arrive. So indeed, you're going to be helping them out. You're not going to be saving them, although you might, but still the idea is to keep them alive until the professionals arrive, which would be the emergency medical technicians or the paramedics, as we also call them. And the instructions are written on the AED and in some cases are delivered via a speaker, but it's a good idea to be familiar with how they work before you use them. So again, we'll have the instructions written on the AED. And, maybe it's going to be a very tense situation. You'll be nervous because the person is not moving. So I don't know if you're going to have the patience to read through those instructions, or if you're going to be able to listen to those instructions through a speaker. But in that case, yes, you should be familiar with how these machines work so that you can get to work right away and not be nervous and stuff like that. So here's our first step. Step 1, place the AED near the victim's head. Okay, so I guess that means the machine is close to the person so that it can work most efficiently.
It's quite small if you've ever seen it. If you haven't, maybe take a quick look online to see some different versions of AEDs. They don't even weigh very much. So they're kind of small. So you want to place it up there by the victim's head. The victim just refers to the person who has been injured, who's in cardiac arrest, or maybe they've even been in a car accident. You want to get the heart started first, though, because if there's no oxygen to the brain, I think you have a range of about 10 minutes, depending on the situation. If there's no oxygen to the brain, then the brain dies and there's no bringing that person back. So you want to make the victim comfortable. So you also want to have that AED pretty close to the area of the chest because remember, you take those pads and put them on the person's chest, and I don't think the cord is that long.
No, it probably isn't. So, yes, you need to get it close to the victim and place it near the victim's head, not the victim's feet, but near the head. And then you need to follow the prompts to turn it on correctly. So here we've got the word prompt, which has p, t, s at the end there. There are 4 syllable sounds there, but even that is difficult for native speakers to say. So we'll say something like prompts. Prompts, okay? You probably won't really hear some of those consonants so clearly there, but a prompt basically is a reminder, a kind of instruction that tells you what to do. So yes, follow those prompts, follow those reminders, listen to them, and follow their instructions in order to turn on the device.
Another way we use prompt in our daily lives is if you ever use an ATM machine, which I'm sure everybody does here, they're really convenient in Taiwan. There are instructions on the screen, and we actually call those prompts. It will prompt you to input your, your password. It will prompt you to put in the amount of money that maybe you want to transfer to somebody else, maybe to pay a bill or to pay your rent, whatever. Those are prompts. And it's used as a noun and a verb. Here, of course, it's the noun. So, yeah, follow the prompts to turn it on correctly. And some power up when the lid is open. Oh, that's very convenient. Once the lid is raised, it automatically turns on itself. So others require you to press a button somewhere to get it started. So I don't know who makes the AED that you're using at the time, but I think it'll be obvious. If you raise the lid and it still has not powered up, that's what we say, it's powered up. Power down means to turn it off. Then you'll have to look around to see a start button.
Yeah, and they're usually an orange color or a red color or something like that.
To get your attention, yeah.
Indeed. So it shouldn't be that difficult to turn on. And there's usually an LED that will flash when the AED is ready to use. And I think this is probably like other electronic devices. When you turn it on, there's a little light glowing. It will be a light-emitting diode or LED, and it will flash or it will be on or whatever to let you know that the AED is on. It is powered up and it's ready to use. Okay, let's move on now to step 2. We just got done with step 1 to place the AED near the victim's head and to turn it on. Well, here's step 2. Expose the victim's chest by removing their clothes. Okay, so indeed, like you said before, Stephanie, you cannot use this if the person is wearing clothes. You have to put these things directly to the skin of the chest here. So indeed, you need to expose the victim's chest. To expose means to reveal something, to make it open. Like in the old film cameras, of course, when you took a picture, the shutter would open and expose the film. It would let it be exposed to light, or it would let light shine on it so that it could become a photograph later. So in this particular case, you just simply remove the clothes and expose the chest of the victim.
Yeah, and this is another important step here. You have to wipe off any moisture. So if your person has been sweating Or maybe it's hot that day, and we all sweat in Taiwan. Or maybe they've been involved in an accident and there's blood in the area. You need to wipe off any moisture. Moisture refers to something that is wet. So there is always moisture on the street after a nice rain shower. Moisture could be water, but it also could be other liquids. Like I said, maybe they've been bleeding or sweating. Moisture can be like a vapor, more like a gas. But here it looks like it's more like a liquid. Look around. You might have to even use some of your own clothes, but just wipe off any moisture on that person's chest.Okay,
well, we're going to take a break now and continue talking about step 2 in just a second. So let's do that. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
Hello, my name is Shelby. 现在中文讲解 AED 第2天。今天的单元要了解 AED 的操作程序。第一段第一句 AED 可以提供 vital medical assistance 重要的医疗协助。形容词 vital 表示生命的。例如说 vital signs of the patient 病人的生命迹象，引申为重要的。例如 Your help is vital to us 你的帮忙很重要。后半句逗号之后呢，它是省略连接词 and 将 keep 改为 keeping 分词形态，形成了分词构句，让文意更简洁。 keep 的后面呢会通常加受词再加受词补语，使保持某种状态。 Keep them alive 就是使他们维持生命。第二句，这些说明会写在 AED 上，有些会传送 via a speaker 透过扬声器。 via 是介系词，相当于经由 by way of 或者是凭借 by means of，后面直接加受词，例如说这消息传到我这里是透过我姐姐。The news reaches me via my sister. 当 V 大写的时候，也是女孩子的名字，念成 via。接着是操作程序。第一步，第一句，将 AED 放在患者的头部附近，句首 place 当作动词放置，后面直接加受词 the AED。那 place 也可以当作发出订单。当在网络购物出现一个栏位叫 place the order，就是下订单，一按下买卖就成立咯。第二句，按照 the prompts 来打开它。 prompt 在这里当作名词，表示提示字、提词。当作文题目给的说明或图表也是 prompt。当形容词的时候，表示敏捷的、快速的答复，就是一个 a prompt reply。当动词的时候，表示驱使。什么原因驱使你辞职？就可以说What prompts you to give up your job? 下两句的主词 some others 是两组 AED 的列举，表示有些 AED 这样，有些 AED 那样。因为没有限定某特定团体，也可以写成 some some。第一个 some 主词搭配动词片语 power up 表示通电。Power 是电力、力量，在这里名词当动词用，有很多类似的用法。我们来举个例子 ：water drinking water 饮用水 ，water the flowers 浇花 ，eyeball 眼球 ，he eyeballs the girl for a long time 他目不转睛地看着那女孩。接着到第二步骤，第一句，露出患者胸部，脱掉衣服。动词 expose 使暴露、显露，露出胸部 expose one's chest。那暴露在哪里？后面加个介系词 to， 再加名词。例如，暴露在阳光下就是 expose to the sunlight。要培养好气质，就要 expose to books， 常接触书。下一句 wipe off any moisture， 擦去水分。wipe 擦拭，举更多例子。Wipe the dishes 擦盘子 Wipe your hands 擦手 Wipe out 去除消除，那字尾加个 r 变成 wiper 就成了湿纸巾。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, we're talking about the different steps you need to take in order to save someone's life by using an AED or this defibrillator that is portable. Now, we talked about step 1 here. You need to place the AED near the person's head and then follow the prompts, turn on the device, and you're good to go. Now, here is step 2. You expose the victim's chest by removing their clothes, and then you get rid of any moisture. And then here's what you do next. You apply the pads to the victim's skin, putting one pad on the right just below the collarbone and the other on the lower left side of the chest. So those are the pads there. There are 2 pads here that need to touch the victim's skin. And you're going to apply the pads to the victim's skin. So here we've got the word apply. You might use this word when you're going to look for a job or trying to get into a school. You need to apply for a job. You fill out an application form, etc. But in this particular case, it just means to touch something to something else or to put something on something else. You can apply feng shui. What's that stuff called?
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen, yes.
Yeah.
Apply sunscreen to your skin before you go to the beach.
I was just going to use that example. Ladies, if you're using makeup at all, you apply mascara, you apply sunscreen, you apply lip gloss or lipstick. We use apply when we're talking about makeup. And if guys out there are using makeup, I don't know what to tell you. But for makeup, we use apply. You can also use it to mean put on or spread. Maybe you're somebody who loves to work with old furniture and restore it. You're going to be applying maybe varnish to the top to make it shiny or apply a coat of paint. We use apply for a lot of different things. So here, they're going to apply those pads to the victim's skin. I notice this when I watch, the TV medical shows. I always notice they don't put them together. One is always lower, right? And I never really paid attention to which side is lower. You put the right one by the collarbone. That's that bone right there at the top that a lot of kids break their collarbones when they're young because they're climbing trees or something. But the one on the right goes just below the collarbone. But the one by the heart, because your heart's on the left side, it goes on the lower left side of the chest, not really on the heart at all. I think some people think that you actually put it on the heart, but you don't.
Yeah, it's an electric circuit there, basically going through the nerves and stuff like that. So that's why you need to know where to place the pads or where to apply the pads. And then ensure the pads are connected to the AED. Yes, they need to be plugged in. They need to be connected. You need to make sure that is the case. So here we've got the verb to ensure, which sounds very similar to the word insure if you buy insurance. Hey, is your house insured, for example? In that particular case, you would spell it with an I. But here it's ensure, which means you just make certain that something is the case. So yeah, make sure or ensure that the pads are connected to the LED. And the AED is kind of an automatic machine. It will analyze the victim's heart rhythm and determine whether they need a shock or whether CPR should be continued. So I guess this device has some sort of sensor here that can detect the pulse of the victim or the heartbeat of the victim. So the machine will analyze the victim's heart rhythm. So if you analyze something, that means you kind of look at all the information and you make some kind of conclusion. You want to analyze the data, for example. If your company does a marketing survey or something like that, you get the information and you look it over, you analyze that information, and then you make some conclusions.
I think it's referring to that little screen. It's kind of like a monitor, a tiny little screen that will show you what the heart's doing. I would think that if someone's in cardiac arrest, there wouldn't be anything on the screen.
Right.
But they want you to check first because giving that person a shock or a jolt of electricity is tough on the body. So they want you to check first. Got to trust the AED machine that it's analyzing it correctly. It's analyzing the victim's heart rhythm. The rhythm of your heart is just that strong, regular pattern that keeps repeating again and again. We have rhythm in music. If you're a dancer, of course, dancers' lives are moving to some sort of beat or to the rhythm. So the victim's heart, the rhythm at least, if it's beating, will show up on the screen. Your machine, your AED, will figure out or determine whether they need a shock or whether CPR should be continued. Yeah, it's not one or the other. Usually when I see these medical shows, they're doing the CPR, especially, pounding on the person's chest. Sometimes they pound too hard and they break ribs, so be careful. But I'd rather have someone pound too hard and break my rib and get my heart beating again. But they're usually doing that. And then they're seeing if the heart will keep beating by itself. If it doesn't, then they turn to the AED. So here's step 3. If you need a shock, what do, Tom?
Okay, if you need a shock or if a shock is required, it's critical that no one be touching the victim or their clothes. So yes, if you do need to shock the victim, then it's critical or it's very, very important that no one can be touching the body of the victim there, or they'll get shocked too. So
Isn't
it's critical.
It interesting? The current goes through clothes.
Interesting, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Maybe some types of clothing conduct electricity.
Yeah, because there are metal
does.
buttons sometimes on jackets, what have you.
Indeed, a zipper might conduct electricity or something like that. So yes, you got to watch out. So it's extremely important. It's crucial. It's critical that no one be touching the victim or their clothes. So that's why the person operating the machine here needs to shout, "Everybody clear." And as we said last time, sometimes they just say clear, and that warns other people to step back. Don't be touching the person, or you're going to get a rude shock there. And then we'll have more problems than just the victim here. And when you're sure that no one is touching the body, then press the shock button, and that's when the body will jerk, and hopefully you will have been successful.
I think the shock button, from what I've seen, is actually on the pad. One of the pads, or maybe both of them. I've seen someone accidentally get shocked and they fall down. It might be similar to being hit with a taser by police, where they send that electric current. That looks really miserable. Like something you don't want to have to ever experience. Yeah, you definitely want to stand back. It's sort of a joke. It's not really, comedy, but we use it in these sitcoms on TV. If they're training to be doctors, they're young students. I've seen a couple of shows where someone's too close to the patient and they get shocked, or they don't move away fast enough. So you don't want to be one of those people.
Yeah, it's funny for television, of course, but if it's a real situation, it's no laughing matter.
No.
Someone's life is at stake here. So indeed, the operator will shout clear, or everybody clear, and everybody needs to step back, and then the operator will press the shock button. Now continue to follow the instructions on the AED until emergency services arrive. So remember, at the very beginning, you were supposed to call 119 to make sure that the ambulance is on its way and let them know about the situation, the victim's condition and stuff like that, so the paramedics can know how to prepare for this emergency. But again, it takes some time for an ambulance to arrive. A friend of mine once fell down and broke her leg, and I had to go help her, and I called the ambulance. And here in Taiwan, the ambulances are pretty efficient, but still, she lived in an apartment down an alley and on the 5th floor of a building with no elevator, so it did take time for the paramedics to arrive. So yes, you do need to be prepared while you're waiting for emergency services to arrive.
And remember, don't hesitate. act quickly. You could be saving a life. If you hesitate, you kind of pause before taking action. Maybe you're hesitating because you're nervous or scared, or you don't want to make a mistake. But here, you need to really act quickly and be calm, be as calm as possible. I really admire the EMTs or paramedics. They have a tough job, and they usually arrive on the scene and have to deal with people who are a little bit hysterical, or crying or really in a lot of pain. So I give them a lot of props. I was going to say a lot of props. That's kind of slang, though. I have a lot of admiration for them. They have a tough job.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today, but our Chinese teacher would like to add a few things right now.
第3句，将电极片放在患者的皮肤上，动词片语 apply A to B， 涂或贴 A 与 B 上面。例如说 apply the cream to the infected area， 把药膏涂在感染的地方。若写成 apply oneself to 把自己涂抹于某个地方，其实就成了专注于的意思。例如 She applied herself to studies， 她努力读书。第4句 ensure 电极片有连接到 AED， ensure 确认确保，后面直接加名词或者是 that 子句。不过在这里的 that 子句省略了 that， 相当于 make sure。那动词里面有个 are connected to something， 表示连接。如果前面加个 dis， 就成了断讯了。My cell phone is disconnected， 我手机断讯，找不到讯号了。最后到步骤3，第1句，如果需要电击，重要的是不能接触到患者。主要句子 It's critical that... critical 重要的相当于 important, urgent。为了强调某事的重要，常会用 it is 形容词再加 that 子句 ，it 当虚主词，代替后面的 that 子句。而在 that 子句中，动词会经常用 should 加原形，那 should 常被省略。同学在 no one 及 be touching 之间加上 should， 就会了解为何是 be touching 而不是 is touching 了。那连好之后，大喊离开，按下按钮。弄好 AED 后，记得要持续的重复，直到医疗人员到来哦。好，以上是今天的说明，谢谢。
Okay, that's all the time we have for today. So everybody, yes, heed our advice here. Learn how to use these machines. Learn CPR in the process. You never know when you're going to need to save someone's life. And if you do, they'll be eternally grateful. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.